Hello YouTube, this is OJ Cubing and welcome to episode number 2 of Modding for Beginners. In this video I'm going to be making a Fisher cube, and as you can see it turned out quite well. It's fully functional, it can turn in all directions, and it's a working puzzle, but I haven't stickered it up yet. I'll be stickering it in another video. The pieces didn't come out exactly perfect, but this is modding for beginners and this is the first proper mod I've ever done. And so let's get on with the video. So before we start this tutorial, you're going to need a octagonal barrel, and you can see a link in the description where I make one of these, but this is going to be the starting point of the puzzle so that I can keep the video a bit shorter. As well as that, you're going to need some more of this thing called milliput or other types of epoxy resin or whatever you've got. And this is so that we can extend these pieces here to make it into more of a square shape. You're probably going to need a form of a knife, and you're also going to need some sandpaper, which is in my garage. So let's get into the tutorial. So to start off with, we just need to remove all of these stickers, and so I'm going to do that with this knife very carefully. Just sort of, I've never done this. Get the knife underneath it like that, and then hopefully it should just peel off quite easily. There we go. And we need to remove all of the stickers that are left on the puzzle. Okay, so there we've completely unstickered the puzzle, and it looks quite nice actually in black. The next thing we're going to need to do is pop off all the center caps and make sure we completely tighten up the cube again, because we're going to start doing some work onto it and we don't want any of the layers to move. So I'm just going to get the screwdriver in like that. Okay, so now it's so tight that you can barely move any of it. We're going to put all the center caps back on, and then we're going to hop out to the garage where we've got some sandpaper, and what we're going to do is roughen up these edges here so that the milliput is going to hopefully stick to them. Right, let's go. Okay, so as you can see, it's not as smooth as it used to look. But just to make sure that the milliput completely bonds onto it, we're going to get our knife again, and we're just sort of going to etch into the pieces just a little bit. We're basically just sort of trying to etch into the pieces, and hopefully the rougher the surface becomes, the more likely it is for the milliput to bond to it and for our puzzle to completely stick together. So I'm going to go and do that now. Again, I'm sorry for the lack of natural lighting here, but I want to get this milliput setting before I go to bed, and so here you can see the grooves we've made into the sides of our cube, so that now hopefully the milliput will stick. So let's get into that next. So the next thing we're going to want to do is take the puzzle apart and separate the these pieces away from the pieces that we have already modded. So in total we should have 4 center caps and 8 edges. So we're going to put these pieces aside for now, and we're just going to be looking at these pieces. So now it's time to add in the milliput, so that means latex glove time. And I'm not entirely sure how much of this I need to mix up this time, so I'm going to start off with what I think will be less than how much I actually need, and then I can always make some more up with it later. So let's just peel this away. I'm going to use, I'm guessing, about that much, and then I'm going to get the same amount of the blue material. And so you need to mix them in even parts again, so about there will do, and just make sure this is wrapped back up again. So we're going to mix these two parts together until they form one solid colour. Okay, so that looks like a fairly consistent sort of blob, and so we're going to put that down there, move this a bit closer to us. And so we're going to start off with an edge piece. We're going to take out a fairly large chunk of milliput. I don't know quite how much it needs to be, and we're going to find it, and we're going to put it on in sort of a triangular shape. I think I put a bit too much on there. And so yeah, we're just going to press this in. Let's have a look at how this is looking. So the idea is we need a sort of 45-degree angle, so it looks a bit like a house, I guess. And we can get 2 corner pieces to compare it, I guess. Okay, so there you see that's supposed to be sort of a straight-ish line, and so you can see we don't actually need all that much of it. If we get another corner out as well, and so we can sort of make that into sort of a roughly right-angled sort of thing. And I've actually got a bit too much in here now, so I'm going to take a bit off. Again, it's basically just sort of keep moulding it until you find a sort of size piece that seems to work. So yeah, that took me quite a while, but as you can see we've got 2 corners and it sort of makes a sort of a right angle, and so this is what our edge piece now looks like. And so we're going to have to do all the rest of these edges, and then we're going to do these centers as well. So I'm going to do that in a time lapse. So yeah, I have just about run out of milliput that I made, so for the record, the amount that I just mixed up was probably good enough for, I'd say, 5 edge pieces and a half, I'd say. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 edges to go, so we're going to continue with that. And what I will say is that the first one took me quite a while, but after that they've got a lot easier to do and I feel a lot more confident in it. So we're going to continue now. Okay, so now that we mix up some more milliput, I'm just going to show you how to do the center pieces now. We're going to get roughly the sort of same amount of milliput, see whether that's roughly the right amount. And again, we're just going to sort of force it onto the center. I'm going to press it down to make sure it binds properly. I probably put in a bit too much there, so I'm going to take some off. And again, we're just sort of going to make that same triangular sort of shape, and this time instead of comparing it to 2 of the corners, we're going to get out a couple of edge pieces like here, and we're gonna sort of I guess this one's a bit more difficult because they don't really lock in, but we can have it like that. See that needs to be a straight line there. Oh, it's a bit fiddly. So I guess we could press down like that, and then on the other edge needs to, how does it fit in? Like that. And so we're basically just building up these triangles in pretty much the same way as we did for the edges. So I'm going to continue my time-lapsing until I finish all of the centers and the rest of the edges. Put that there. Okay, so that's all the pieces done, and I've got a little bit more milliput left, so I'm just going to go around all these pieces and see if there are any holes or any pieces that need a bit of extra milliput onto them, just so that you know, I've got all this, I can use it up if I need to. And so that means that overall this this cube, or this puzzle, the what do you call it, Fisher cube, has basically used up 1 box of milliput, including that for the octagonal barrel. So that's pretty okay. All these pieces seem to be looking fine. Again, I'm going to be sanding them down properly sometime in the day, maybe tomorrow or so. Yeah, I don't seem to have any use for this final bit of milliput, so I'm just going to do my old classic thing of rolling it into a bowl. And yeah, basically, that's it for now. I just need to leave all these pieces to dry. Hopefully, they'll all be of the right size in the morning. Hey guys, it's now morning and all of these pieces have solidified. And before we can reassemble the puzzle, we just need to take all the pieces and sort of sand them down so that at least these two bits are flat. We're not going to worry about the triangular bit yet. We just need to sand all these bits off, and for the centers we need to sand these bits down just a little bit, and that's going to mean that we can reassemble the puzzle without all the pieces getting in the way of each other. I think this one's actually quite fine, but most of them we're just going to be taking outside and sanding them down. Okay, so now if you have a look at these pieces, you can see that they're all completely flat on both of these edges, and they still need to be sanded like this, but now we're going to reassemble our puzzle. And so I'm going to do this on camera. If we start with this as being sort of the white face, all we need to do is get edges with the extended bits on it and put them all around the main center like this. Okay, and then we're going to turn it upside down as usual, and we're going to get corners and we're going to pop them in so that the flat bit's sort of facing outwards. Let's make sure that actually goes down to the bottom. There we go, like that. Put the second one in like that. Third and fourth. That's fine. So as you can see, we sort of got a rough square shape, and we just need to sand down these bits to make it more square. And then we're going to grab two of our cut edges, and well, four of them actually, and put them in around the center like this. Three, and where's the fourth one? Here we go, four. And we can then put in some centers. We just pop them on like that. Push them straight on. There's the third one, and here's the fourth. Okay, they're pretty good on there. And then we're going to take our edge and put it there, and grab two corners and put them next to it like this. Turn it around a bit, put another edge in here. Turn around a bit more, put another corner in like that, and put in one more edge, getting the last corner. And then here we just need to slot in our last edge as we usually would, without it all falling apart, hopefully. Okay, so let's try that again. It's a bit more difficult in my opinion when the centre's not actually there. So there we go, it's slotting in like that. And then we of course need to get our last centre, pop it in diagonally like that, get our screwdriver and tighten it as pretty much as tight as it would go now, because we are going to need to sand this thing down again. And pop the centre cap back on. Okay, so now you can see we've got our rough shape of the Fisher cube, but it's very pointy at bits. And so we're going to go over to our sandpaper and sand it down like this, this, and this, until all four sides are hopefully flat as they need to be. Okay, so let's go and do that now. Okay, so just to demonstrate, we're going to put it like this on our sandpaper, and we're just going to go like this for a while. So as you can see, this is mostly flat now, and I have to say that was the longest I've ever sanded in this project, and I'd really recommend a belt sander because you can just sort of plop it down and it will sand away for you. And as you can see, this bit here is probably not made quite big enough and there's a bit of a gap, but I'm not really too bothered about that. All I'm bothered about is trying to get this into a cubic shape at the moment. So I'm going to continue on for the last three sides, and it's probably going to take quite a while. So now you can see the puzzle's looking pretty cubic, I'd say. And I could stop here, but I just want to sand down a couple of pieces individually, like this piece here that's sort of sticking out, and I want to sand that down a little bit. And so I'm just going to disassemble the puzzle and do the finishing touches on the pieces, and then we're almost ready to go. Okay, so in terms of functionality, this puzzle is now completely done. I'm not too bothered about the fact that all the pieces are basically not perfect, because this is just sort of my first Fisher Cube, and I really wanted to get something that looked quite cool, and when I sticker it up, hopefully it won't look so bad. But yeah, I can show you it's fully functional because all the layers are moving. Let's just do that. And some of them are catching a little bit because the internal mechanism's a bit more bodged up, but I don't think it's too bad. And if you want to remove these middle center caps, all you have to do is turn the layers like that a little bit, and then they pull straight off like that. And so I'll show you that it works with a normal T-perm, as I usually would. As you can see, it's a bit difficult to move, but once you get there, if you loosen them all off, then there you go, we're back into the cubic state. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wash all the pieces off camera so they got all the dust away from them, because that's really annoying me. And then I'm going to spray paint it on camera, and we'll see how that goes. And then after that, the puzzle is pretty much complete, and all we'll need to do is sticker it up in the future. So I felt like this bit of the video needed some commentary because it kind of felt a bit awkward, but here I am spray painting the pieces, and the spray paint I'm using is called Citadel Black, and that's the spray paint I used to use for my Warhammer, but I had it some left over still, and so I thought I'd show you, well, no, I thought I'd use it really, and I thought I'd show you me using it because you might be interested in how I get the sort of finished look on it. And it really was quite easy, just spray paint all the bits that look grey. I recommend doing it whilst it's disassembled rather than whilst it's assembled, because that way the pieces don't stick, and also you can make sure that you get every part of the cube that you're going to be able to see. And so here you can see me just finishing off the last of the edge pieces. I had to turn them over because some of the grey bit was on the newspaper which I covered my table with, and so I had to finish that off there. But here we are about to finish, and so yeah, let's get to the finished product. So here we have it, it's the Fisher Cube, and I'm going to say it's complete. I didn't turn out exactly as a professional would make it, but if you wanted a professional style cube, then you'd buy one off a manufacturer. But I'm personally really pleased with how this turned out. The spray paint's gone really well as well, and I'll make a video on stickering it when I've got the stickers for it. Just showing you the turning again. Let's do a T-perm. I think it turns fantastic for the fact that, you know, I made it, and it could be a lot more worse, let's say. And of course it does have the guanlong at the bottom, so that's going to be how it turns. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this video here. Stay tuned for any more mods I might be doing. Bye.